Hey everyone, how are you? This is Kenita, the agent slash investor. How y'all doing today? Today, what we're going to talk about is what's happening in the real estate world when it comes to commissions. I don't know if I'm the first person that's mentioning this or if you have heard it from other people. I just know for the state of Virginia what we're doing because they had changed the contracts and stuff like that around as far as on the MLS list slash rank. So any other states, I'm not 100% sure what they did on the contracts. But we would be talking about commissions. Biggest topic ever, especially since for the year of 2023, the ending year of 2023 at that. Lawsuits, everything is going on. They changing how the way we will actually be doing commission splits between buyer and seller and agent. So I just want to brief y'all what's going on. And as far as with any agents here in Virginia, including myself, work with us because when they release this contract out, it's like over 70 or 80 something pages worth of contracts that they had changed on my birthday. I rolled. But let's get into it. Sorry. The biggest threat facing of the industry, like I said, is commission splits. It ain't got nothing to do with the housing market being crashed or anything like that. It's mainly class action lawsuits that's happening. That's accusing National Associations Realtor, aka for us is called NAR. Along with some of the country's biggest real estate brokerage that includes my brokerage, one of them EXP Realty, Compass, Redfin, just to name a few. They are conspiring to rip off consumers by keeping commission paid to agents unfairly and high. Hundreds of thousands of realtors could see their commission slashed, which might force many out of business. The old way of buying and selling homes could go away forever. The way how it used to work as far as home selling and buyers buying a home is like this. The buyers work with the agent. The agent and buyer goes into contract with each other. As the agent, they are not getting paid by the buyers. 9 times out of 10, the money is coming from the seller's side, which is the listing agent. So in the contracts, or the older contracts for the listing agent, prime example, if it is 6%, so we would say 6% is what the listing agent will take. And then out of that 6%, the client, not customer, the client acknowledged the fact that 3% of that is going to the buyer side. That's how the way 9 times out of 10 most buyer agents got paid. It was never through the buyers from the jump start. And if they all right, we cutting into the video right quick. Since I'm a visual person, I had to draw it out visually. So all of this is just numbers that I'm using as an example. So this doesn't mean that all agents does it. Like I said, everything's negotiable. So for prime example, average sale will do 350K times 6%. 6%, we're just using that. And then what it would say after 6%, the seller acknowledged that 3% of it, which is 50-50, 3% of it will go towards the buyer side when it comes to the contract. Like I said, when you talk to your agent as a listing agent, they supposed to convey all this information to you. Once you know that it's split up 50-50, the buyer gets their cut, the buyer agent get their cut, and then the seller agent get their cut, and everybody walk away happy. That's how the way it normally happens. I know most people think that most real estate agents get the full 6%. I'm not saying that that's not the case, but 9 times out of 10, that's not the case. Now, right back to the video. They did get paid through the buyers, through the jump start. It's mainly because it was always negotiated in the contracts. That's something that most of your agents, if y'all have worked with agents, supposed to specify from the jump start anyway. All numbers and commissions and anything like that supposed to be negotiated. That's how the old style had always worked. The seller side always paid the buyer side. From there, it goes straight to the brokerage. You think that the agent is getting a full 6%. We are really not getting the full 6%. It's split. It goes to the brokerage. Brokerage get their cut, so on and so forth. So, or It's the seller who decides the percentage each agent will make before even listing their house. So with that being said, if the seller don't want to pay the buyer's side at all, they can always say, well, I don't want to pay the buyer's side. That's, like I said, it's always negotiated in the contract. NAR have argued that the system is designed to get the deal closed as efficiently with no bickering over commissions. Everyone already knows who will get paid what. NAR has maintained that the commission was always negotiable, which is, don't let no agent tell you that commissions was never negotiable. It's always negotiable. If the agent don't agree with how much you're going to pay them, the agent do have a right to walk away or respectfully decline. So please understand, it goes both ways. If you a seller and you want the agent to split only 1% of the sales price or even 0%, as the seller, when you are listing your house, you can do that. Now, the first major lawsuit that happened in 2023 is arguing with Sitzer, I think that's their last name. I'm sorry if I'm butchering it. Versus Sitzer / Burnett versus NAR. They are in trial, still is in trial. The first thing to watch for will be an official ruling from the judge in the Sitzer / Burnett case, expecting sometime in the spring. While the jurors have already sided with the plaintiffs, the judge still needs to decide which kind of action the NAR and the brokerage will need to take to remedy. They are arguing that the decoupling of changing the rules to make sure that the buyer and seller pays their agents separately. At the most extreme end, buyers and seller agent might be expressly prohibited from splitting commissions. NAR has vowed to appeal to the verdict and said that it's expected argument to take place later on in 2024, which is this year. So another class action suit that's happening with the additional rule is a large case with Morale versus NAR should reach in a trial of later on in 2024. So with all these cases going on as far as with commissions, it always been an outcry or uproar as far as why is the seller paying for the buyer side. So I will get further along into that. Other class action attorneys are bringing lawsuits as well. The two big cases so far has focused on home sellers, but a new case filed in November known as Batten 2 takes aim at brokerage such as Douglas, Lyman, Compass, Redfin on the behalf of a nationwide group of buyers. It's not yet clear how big the damage could be in this case, but the sheer size of the plaintiff class points to much larger figures than the Morale case. Meanwhile, the head plaintiff in the Sitzer case has filed another national-wide class action suit against NAR and the brokerage that weren't included in the original case, including Compass, EXP, which is my brokerage, and Redfin. While these cases won't reach any trial anytime soon, they do put in a perspective of pressure of the industry to find ways to settle rather than risking years of consuming and costly litigations. So, with all that being said, with the commission splits and everything else, this is what they decide to do something new. And I'm still trying to learn the contract as well as far as with the commission split. What they are trying to do differently now, and it's just testing it out, this is what they have passed on in Virginia, especially with EXP Realty, my brokerage, so we could get ahead of this, is for one, the listing side, aka the seller, they still pay their brokerage. Now, it's up to the seller if they want to pay the buyer side, which is, it does says that in the buyer's contract, but I'll get on to that later. What it states for the seller side, it states how much that they would like to pay for that. Like I said, between seller and agent, they negotiate how much percentage, or I won't call it a set price, but a price of how much they want to pay the brokerage. With that being said, we write that out in the contract, that just stating like this, what you basically said that you want to do. But what I took from MLS/Ring, they said that the first contract that you get is basically you stating this is what you want to do. The second paperwork is stating this is what we're going to do as far as how much you are selling. Well, not selling, how much you're willing to pay as far as for the brokerage. Now flip over to the buyer side. On the buyer side, it still states that the retainer fee, if that seller decides to charge you a retainer fee, which is, I know I'm one of them, they'll put down how much they charge for retainer fee, how many days that you got to pay for retainer fee, if the retainer fee is going to be part of the purchase price or not part of the purchase price. And then from there in the contract, 'cause I'm trying to remember it through verbatim because I don't have it right here in front of me, but from there in the contract, it does states that if the seller decides that they want to help you out in that, they can do that. But only different is, it's broken down two different ways. If the seller decides to pay an excess amount of the commission for the buyer side, then it would be discussed with the buyer of where this excess amount of money is going towards, which is, we know majority of it is going towards the agent as far as for commission price, but then we got to figure out where the rest of the money going at. Or in the contract, it also states that if the seller pays just a little bit, then the buyer have to pay the rest of the brokerage fee to the buyer agent. Or if the seller decides that they don't want to pay for the buyer side at all, the buyer have to pay the agent money. So please keep that in mind, especially if you're a first-time home buyer. You got to look at it as you got to still come up with 3% as far as not your grants, but I'm drawing a blank. FHA. I think I'm saying it right. I'm drawing a blank at this moment. I'm sorry. But you still 3% down as far as for the purchase price of the house. So you still got to keep that in mind. Then you also got to keep in mind if that agent has a retainer fee. And then on top of that, you still got to keep in mind that you may have to come out of pocket as far as lead-based paint, any inspections, or etc. And then you also have to keep in mind that you may got to come out of pocket for commission. So I just want to keep y'all informed of that. Moving right along, some real estate agents may wait until the ruling from the judge in the Sitzer/Burnett case before changing their practice, or hold out hope for the last appeal has worked in this way and through courts. Others have already read the writings in between the walls and decided to do a whole new practice. As far as for me, my slogans basically is, if you look at my logo right beside EXP, I have a phoenix. Phoenix means transformation. So I'm going to transform and move along according to what is best for my clients. So if this is the new way that the seller and buyer wants to do it, so be it. We moving on to this way. I'm not going to try to hold out hope for hoping that the seller will pay for my side. No, I'm just going to educate you the best way I can. According to Borough, the key for agents is to clearly explain to buyers what they do, how they get paid, and why they may need to start getting paid differently. In many instances, those conversations has been conveniently swept under the rug for decades. Like I said, I ain't got nothing to do with other agents. I can only speak for myself. There are going to be real estate agents who's not be able to articulate and let alone demonstrate their values as far as what they can do as far as helping you purchasing your first-time home or helping you selling your home. So those agents will be running out of business very quickly. It is what it is. Many buyers agents, at least the competent ones, will understand how to explain everything that's going on with these new contracts, technology, etc., when it comes to real estate. Even though this all sounds pretty good, regular buyers and sellers, lower fees may be a clear picture of what, unfortunately, us real estate agents may get, and greater emphasize, Lord, take the wheel, Jesus. I'm tired. I'm sorry. Emphasize on negotiation rather than accepting the status quo. With that being said, there could be downsides to this, like I stated before. Downsides is particularly for buyers who might not have enough cash on hand to pay their agents out of pocket. There are possible solutions and industry bigwigs that could push for change to mortgage rules. That commission would be folded into a loan. Could be, maybe, we don't know yet. Or sellers could agree to give buyers rebates so they could pay their agent after after a sales close. But they're far from guarantees at this point. In the absence of those kinds of fits, some home buyers might be forced to accept less help on their purchase or even decide to brave the market on their own. With all these changes going on, I hope y'all home buyers, y'all first time home buyers especially, don't try to purchase your home by yourself, because I do not want y'all to get taken advantage of, especially with everything that's going on in the pandemic. And I'm here to tell you, unfortunately, this is with any industry that you work in or any job. People will try to swindle you to do something, especially if you don't understand what's going on. So I hope that y'all still try to find an agent and still do y'all research the best way you can. So with that being said, and what my notes have read off, just to recap, keep in mind that whatever agents that you work for, especially in the state of Virginia, because I don't know what the other states is doing. I don't know what their MLS listing is or how the way they change their contracts. I can only speak for Virginia, and I can only speak for my brokerage, EXP Realty, here in Virginia. We changed our contracts February the 12th. These are the contracts that we are using starting from that date from here on out. Because of all the lawsuits that's going on, the best thing that I can tell you is ask questions from any real estate agents that you're working with. Ask them, do they understand the new contracts? And please also keep in mind, bear with us, because these are new contracts and we're trying to understand how the way we can present the commission to you without us sounding illiterate, I want to say. I think that's the best word I want to use. But with that being said, keep in mind, like I said, the old way is out the door. The buyers have to now start paying their agent possibility money when the contract is presented to them. If the buyer don't have to pay their agent money, that's great. But I'm just letting you know what's going on. Anywho, I am Kennedy, the agent/investor. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment down at the bottom. I'm sorry with all the rambling on. I was just trying to get my processing thoughts together to make sure that I conveyed the information right to you. For any of my first-time home buyers or sellers in the state of Virginia, preferably in the Hampton Roads area, I am here to help. Once again, I am Kennedy, the agent/investor. I cannot wait to help you and your family soon. Y'all have a lovely day. Bye.